بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وصحبك يا حبيب الله. Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters. This video is the 7th episode of the videos that Majlis al-Tarajim is recording in order to aid and help the brothers and sisters who are translating and formatting. This video is primarily for the administrative stuff, and it's basically not for everyone, but it's for administrators who would be actually helping us out in carrying out some administrative stuff, tasks like adding bibliographical entries and stuff like that. And this video is specifically for adding bibliographical entries. So I'm going to start and actually go through on how to actually create a bibliographical entry so that we can use that in Microsoft Word. Well, in this translation toolkit, and you've seen this before in the introduction videos on how to actually load the bibliographical entries into Microsoft Word, but this video doesn't cover that. This covers how do you actually go about adding more entries to this master sources. And the way to do that is, the first thing I would suggest is that if you see here this program on the right is called Notepad++. You can Google it and download it, install it, it's free. Or you can go into our software directory and actually the software SVN project, and you can actually download that from there too, whichever you please. Okay, so going back to the translation toolkit, the first thing you would do is actually type that entry up in this Microsoft Word list, which is actually a maintenance list that helps us keep track of what entries you've already put into the master sources. Everything that green you see here, everything that green you see has been typed up but hasn't been entered into the bibliographical master sources. So the first thing you would normally do is type up the entry with the correct diacritics and all. And once you've done the typing of the entry, what you would do is go to this bibliography folder and then open this in Notepad++, and that will help us to see the formatted text of the XML. Okay. So open this master sources in Notepad++. Now remember, another thing that you'll need is a GUID. GUID is a global unique identifier, which should be unique in this file. And there are many different tools that you can use to generate that. But there is, if you go to the resources links and you click this GUID generator, is going to take you to a website that generates a GUID for you. So if you click generate GUID, you'll see this GUID right here. We're going to come back to it in a second, but right now the last entry we have is 117, which is Kitabu Samt, and that ties back to this entry here, which is red, which means that we've already put this entry into the master sources. So now we're gonna we'll add the entry for Sunan Kubra. I'm gonna copy this whole thing for a second, and then I'm just gonna paste it here so that I can use it. What I'll have to do is, you see this structure right here, everything from the sources to this tag, which for those of you who know XML, this is the ending tag of the source. So I'm going to copy this whole thing, okay, and paste it in here as an extra entry, but I don't want to put any duplicate entries here, so I'm going to delete all this stuff here and then add the entry for Sunan Kubra. Remember that the order is 118 because that's the entry that we're adding. I'm going to copy this Sunan Kubra and then paste it here into the tag, and also paste it here into the title of the book. We'll take the name, this Hussein Bayhaqi could be the last name because that's the most it would be easier for us to sort this out in Microsoft Word. So I'll take this and I'll keep that as the last name, and what we can do is we can copy this whole thing here, Imam Abu Bakr Ahmad bin Hussein as the first name. We can also enter middle name if you see here there's a middle name here. We can also add that, but it's not really required as long as we can get the full name in this, we should be fine. But I'll go ahead and just do it so that our entry is complete. But I'll take I'll just add this as the middle name. Okay, so the last part to this, actually not the last part, but we would need to add this GUID here, and the GUID that I generated using this website, I could just copy that and I paste it in that same format with these curly brackets right here. One thing you'll notice that's missing here is the publisher information, and that's because these entries we didn't have the publication information. But for that entry we do have the publisher, and what I will actually do is I'll copy that city, publisher, country, region, etc. As you can see, it's Darul Kutub al-Ilmiya Beirut. So I'll copy this and paste it right here, but I'll make sure that this ref order entry is not duplicate. Beirut, Lebanon, and then I will copy this Darul Kutub Ilmiya into the publisher tag, and I'll just make sure you delete this, otherwise Word will not be able to read the file because the format would be corrupted. Okay, so we've added this another entry here called for Sunan Kubra, and once I save this, now I have 118 references in my master sources. And just to make sure, I'm going to make this red so that we don't end up adding multiple and duplicate entries in our bibliography. Now if you notice, if I browse to the master sources and pull this up in the list for available sources, we should be able to see the book Sunan Kubra. There it is. So this is a short tutorial on how to add this bibliographical entries, and I would advise that not everybody, all translators do this, but leave it up to the administrators to add these entries for you. And if you are translating a book where you need an extra reference in this master sources, please do let us know and we'll be happy to add it for you. That's all for today, folks. Jazakallahu khairan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and forgive all of us for the sake of the beloved Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam.